My name is Noye, Dozier's younger sister, and this is my story.
I am so lonely. I'm falling down when you're not around.
This particular day, Dozier was in Daddy's room again. He had been called in after Daddy had looked at his SS1 first term results. Dozier told me that whenever he went into Daddy's room like this particular day, it was to receive fatherly advice. He was all smiles late that afternoon as he came to pick me from the primary section of our school, Bright Mind School, Okota. I knew immediately that he had passed his exams and that he would not repeat. But then I was not sure, because Dozier also smiled even when things were very, very wrong. So I asked, "Did you pass?" I was looking up at him, trying to catch a glimpse of sadness or regret, but I found none. I almost believed that he had passed until he said, "No, but I'm not going to repeat. It's just first term." Then I was sad for him, but he seemed not to be. "Will Daddy be happy?" I asked. "Daddy understands," he replied. How I wish Dozier had showed a bit of sadness, at least for me to feel a bit of the gravity of what he felt in the inside. But Dozier was a sweet elder brother. "Nanya, please come out of the road," he said to me as he drew me to his side and then to his left side, shielding me from the vehicles and motorcycles. He was so protective of me. His left scarred arm held me close to his sweaty body. He had played a lot of football that day in school. He was a good player. He was my hero. Mommy had warned him about playing rough. I can remember that day when Mommy asked him to pull up his t-shirt and was shocked at the numerous scars on his back, chest, and stomach. "Chidozie, you are playing too much. Chidozie, you are playing too much. Chidozie, you are playing too much," she repeated, as if by repeating the sentence severally, Dozier would understand her better. "Mommy, I'm becoming a man," Dozier replied. "Keep short, because see the way your body is, as if the whole world decided to use Kobuko on you." Mommy was apparently not happy. "Are you sure those teachers in your school don't use cane on you?" "No, Mommy," Dozier replied. Truly, teachers were not allowed to flog students in our school. They could only make students go through some punishment. But even if they were allowed to flog, they wouldn't leave such wild marks on the body as the ones on Dozier's body. "Ne, get me the GV on the table in my room." She was talking to me. I went into her room and brought the little bottle with purple liquid in it. She smelled the liquid and the fresh wounds running across Dozier's body. Mommy sobbed as she did this. Even the scars of old wounds were still visible. "I will tell your daddy to allow you watch TV and play some games in the house, so that you don't go to school like a dog set free from a cage. Then you play like you've not seen play before. You enjoy yourself and bring yourself home for me to treat, causing me high blood pressure at this age. Look at your body, Dozier. Look at you." Mommy was sad. Daddy allowed us to watch TV later on, but it was only during the weekends. Daddy was a principled man. He was the principal of a government school. Thanks to Mommy for not allowing us to get enrolled in that school where he was the principal. I remember Dozier hugging me, lifting me up, and swirling me around in joy when Mommy announced that we wouldn't be attending Daddy's school. Jose had just finished his primary school then. As for Mommy, she was a businesswoman. She owned a fashion shop called Amaka's Wears, where all kinds of clothing and accessories were sold. She made sure we wore the best of clothing, the kind that made people stare twice at us when we walked through the aisle in church. It was only Daddy who didn't dress so gaily. He didn't believe in it. Nevertheless, he didn't tolerate shabbiness in our dressing, but he was more particular about looking smart than looking flashy. So, Mommy was not always around like Daddy was. She had told Josie and me that it was because of her business that it took her across the country. Daddy and Mommy had quarreled sometimes about her business. Daddy had accused her of sleeping around with politicians. I didn't understand what that meant, but we feared Daddy. He had never flogged me, but the thought of him doing it scared shit out of me. I remembered I convulsed one time he raised a whip to flog me. Dad was fat and huge, and whenever I stood in front of him, he looked like Goliath. I had never seen him flog Dozier. He always called him into his room whenever Dozier heard one or some of his so many commandments, and Dozier heard too often. Dad would start with a question. He wouldn't even wait for an answer before ordering him into his room. For example, he would say, "What did I tell you about idling around and playing around? Come into my room." Or he would say, "Did I not tell you to always wake up before the women and join me in morning exercises? Let me see you in my room." Or, "What did I tell you about talking too much, Chidozie? Go to my room." Or, "Haven't I told you to eat enough food to be strong like a man? Follow me." Or, "What on earth are you doing in the kitchen, Chidozie? Is the kitchen a man's place? Come with me." There was one instance I remember, and I regret because I had caused it. A boy in school that was older than Chidozie had broken my food flask. I had told Dozier, and Dozier had fought him for me. But Dozier had got beaten. Dozier had told me to tell neither Mom nor Dad, but I didn't heed him. I made a mistake. I should have told Mom, but Mom was not around. So I told Daddy because I wanted vengeance. I had hoped that to get Daddy's sympathy, I would have to tell him that Dozier was beaten in school fighting for me. I had hoped that he would come to our school and deal with the boy, but it was Dozier I put in trouble. "You must not fall for another man, not for anything. Come into my room," he said to Dozier. Each time Dozier came out of Daddy's room, I saw fresh slashes of wound, either across one side of his neck, or at the temple of his face, or across his hands. I also saw dry tears patched on his sweaty face. But then, Dozier would smile and ask me what I was looking at. In all these periods of "come into my room," Mommy was not always around. Even if she was, most times she was too tired or drunk and stayed in her room. She didn't share same room with Daddy. Martha, our house help, took care of us and so many other things beyond the limits for a house help. But then she had limits. She could not save Dozier from Daddy. So this particular day, when Dozier and I came back with his SS1 results, and after Daddy had looked at it and called him into his room, I had decided to eavesdrop. I tiptoed to Daddy's door and placed my ear gently on it. It was my first time. I had expected to hear the solemn conversation between a father and a son. The thickness of the door made what I heard a bit faint. What I heard was a screaming voice. and another rebuking voice. Daddy, please. Daddy, please. Idiot. Worthless fool. People with this kind of result never amount to anything. I won't spend my time on a hopeless son. Daddy, please. Daddy, please. Shut up. Shut up, fool. Shut up. I also heard the painful and terrible lashes of a whip, the stamping of a foot, and the crushing of a body, the dashing of a head against the wall. I heard the thunderous shifting and falling of pieces of furniture and other things. Daddy, please, I won't fail again. You don't have to promise me. If you fail again, I will kill you. I heard the groans of one in agony and the groans of another one, so enraged and beastly. Terror filled me. I left the door and went to sit on the cushion, waiting for Dozier, hoping he would come out alive. I had feared Daddy all my life, but before this time, I had not feared him the way one should fear a deadly beast. Some minutes later, Dozier came out of Daddy's room. He came to the parlor where I was. I stood up and stared at him. He was having his result sheet in his hand. Fresh red wounds ran across the top of his chest and at both sides of his lips. I knew more would be under his shirt. He was looking his usual self. He was smiling at me. But then I wanted to cry. I broke the silence. Brother Dozier, were you the one screaming? Screaming how? In Daddy's room. Oh, he was trying to act casual. He put his arm across my shoulder and we were walking to our room. It was Daddy's radio. There is a funny radio drama going on where a father is dealing with the son for coming back home with Udo Ujueja, he said, wanting to be funny. I had always laughed at his jokes. I only smiled this time. You are lying to me, brother. Why? How? See, there is a new wound on your neck, I pointed out. We were in our room. Now, he was soon going to leave me all alone in this room because he was fast becoming an adult. Mommy said he would soon be needing his privacy. He sat down on the bed. There was silence. He broke it. Don't tell Mommy, he said gently, without looking at me, but at the book he was arranging. Why? I wanted to know. If Mommy knows, she will fight him and he will kill her, he said simply. More terror got hold of me. He knew I wanted to cry. He drew me to him and I cried on his scarred chest. That night I dreamt. I saw Daddy. I saw Dozier. There was a vast river between them. None could cross to the other person. Later on, I saw Dozier floating on the river. He was floating away. I told Mama my dream. She said it meant that Dozier was going to travel abroad, that he was going to be a great person. Mommy's interpretation made me feel lonely. Was Dozier going to leave me all alone in this house and travel abroad? Another day came, which was the end of these days. Mommy had come back home with news of Sandra's death. Auntie Sandra was a family friend. She liked Dozier so much and even called him her husband. Mommy had been descriptive about the fatal accident that took Auntie Sandra's life so that Dozier started shedding tears. Auntie Sandra was a good woman, he remarked. Mommy nodded in agreement. The three of us were on a cushion, closely knit by a friend's death. Daddy was at the door now. He had come back from somewhere. He saw the tears on Dozier's eyes and was angry. What did I tell you about crying? He asked from the entrance door. I thanked God that Mom was very around that day. Dear, you should have asked what was making him cry, Mommy replied for Dozier. We had all forgotten to greet him. I don't care. He should never cry, not even for me when I die. There was silence. His words, I was sure, echoed in everyone's head. But we were used to them. Dozier didn't even look at him. He kept his eyes away. See me in my room, Chidozier, he said finally, and went into his room. Dozier stood up. He didn't go into Daddy's room. He went into his own room instead. He defied Daddy. I became scared. It didn't take long for Daddy to stomp out of his room. Where is that boy? Take it easy, dear. He's gone into his room. I think he's tired. Chinoya, tell him Daddy is calling him. You need to stand up. Don't bother, he scolded me, and I ran back to my mom. He marched onto Dozier's room. That brat has not seen me yet, he said. Mommy angrily sped towards his direction. My son is not a brat. Did you hear me? My son is not a brat or whatever you said now. And you must take it easy with that boy, Benjamin. Did you hear me? I don't understand the kind of father you are. Mom was shouting so he could hear. Few seconds later, Daddy stomped out into the parlor again. He was breathing fast. Mommy was jolted. She stood up immediately facing him. What? You want to beat me? Come and beat me in front of our little daughter. All I will do is just dial my brother's number and you will be in jail. Mom threatened him. She was warming up for a fight. When she said her brother, I knew she was talking about Uncle Levinus, who was an IG in the police force. But Dad had not come for her. He went to where the TV was, raised it and smashed it on the floor. He broke the mirror on the shelf with his bare fist. He destroyed whatever was within his reach, from the frames on the wall to the glass cups on the dining table. As he destroyed, he groaned like a wounded lion. I was only trying to make him a man, he groaned. His voice was horrible, scary. He was in agony. Mommy took me to a safe corner and held me tightly, and we both watched him in shock. When he was through with making a mess of the living room, he knelt down at the dining table on the pieces of glass and metal as though he wanted to pray. For the first time in my whole life, I saw Daddy cry. The sweat on his face covered his eyebrows and mixed with his tears. Something was wrong. Perhaps Jose had run away. He had left me and run away through the window to abroad like Mommy said. I don't know if the same instinct moved Mom and me, because we both immediately started running to Dozier's room. Dozier's room didn't look deserted. His clothes and everything were still intact, but there was a pair of dangling legs above our head. They were Dozier's. His lifeless body was dangling above us, tied to the ceiling fan. He had committed suicide. Chimo! Mommy screamed and slumped. I had heard of that. I had heard that the dead can't come back to live with the ones they love. They were gone forever. He was the only brother I had. It was difficult for me to accept that Dozier was gone forever. His kindness, his brotherliness, his playfulness, I mean the beautiful fragrance that was in his warmth. Beneath that fragrance had been the suppressed smell of suffering, of dying. Though there were scars to show, but Dozier had told me they were scars for manhood, scars that said he was becoming a man. But these scars were evidences of abuse, of oppression, of torture, of madness. Now I understand that before Dozier killed himself, He was already dead. What could I have done? I was only a child. Today, Mom and Dad are divorced. Martha has a son for daddy. Mommy is at the psychiatric home now. As for me, I have had a failed marriage and I'm still picking myself up from it.